This is episode 12 of the Brand Authority Podcast. Today, we're talking about how to build your brand with content marketing. Stick around.
This is the Brand Authority Podcast, the show for growth-driven leaders who want to win more customers, increase revenue, and gain the competitive edge. Broadcasting from sunny Los Angeles, here's your host, Rebekah Radice.
Well, hello and welcome back. Thanks so much again for joining me right here on the Brand Authority Podcast. You know, we are growing by leaps and bounds every single week. It is just so encouraging to me to see all of your feedback, hear from you. So thank you to everybody that has shared across social media, and to those of you that are loving the Brand Authority Podcast and haven't left us a review on iTunes yet, please do so. It is just so helpful to us and it really helps others as they're looking for great new podcasts. So thanks again for helping us spread the word. So today we're going to talk about content marketing, which of course, as a marketer, is a topic very near and dear to my heart. And if you are building your brand across social media, if you are using digital marketing, then content marketing in the term probably not very new to you. But what I hope to do in today's podcast in a short amount of time is break down a few ways you can quickly and easily get started with content marketing, inject your personality, and really share with your audience valuable content that connects on multiple different levels and connects with them no matter the stage. So whether they're just getting to know you, they're in that awareness stage, or they want to learn a little bit more about you, so you're moving them down through your funnel, or they're ready to activate. They are ready to take that next step with you. I'm going to give you some different ways that you can utilize all of that within a content marketing strategy. So let's dive right in with number one. And number one is something you've probably heard me either talk about, see me present on, or see me write about, because it is really a foundational piece to writing great content, writing content that your audience loves, and writing content that your audience actually wants to share. Because after all, a big part of what we're doing both on our blog, over on social media, is creating engagement. It's creating that conversation that leads to conversion. So number one is know what your audience wants, and more than that, what they need. Now, at the heart of all great content is detailed research. And that's why I always start out with this at number one, of really understanding your audience. I think we throw this around a lot in marketing, of knowing your persona, or figuring out your avatar, or just really getting into the head of your audience. But nobody tells you how to go about doing that. So today, we're going to break that down and help you figure out really who is your audience, so that content creation for you is going to be a whole lot easier. So to learn what your audience is looking for, and if you're just getting started, you may not have a whole lot of data, so I'll give you some different ideas. But if you have been blogging, you've got a website for any amount of time, well, then you're going to head over to your Google Analytics, to your Google Search Console. If you've been on social media for a little bit of time, you're going to go to your Facebook Audience Insights, and then to Twitter Analytics. Now, if you haven't been doing any of that for any length of time, so you don't really have data, that's okay. You can look to your competition, and you're never looking to your competition to emulate or just copy what they're doing. You're just trying to get a better understanding of what their audience, which is probably your audience you're looking to attract, what type of content are they responding to? So what type of content are they liking? Are they commenting on? Are they engaging with? This is going to give you some pretty good insight into what type of content you could start creating for your company. So let's go back and let's just assume, though, that you've already got all these things in place. You've got some data to go off of, and let's break down what your next step is. All right, so your first step is to head over to Google Analytics. You're going to scroll to Behavior and then Site Content, and then go to the Content drill down. And what you're going to find within that is a whole big list of all of your blog posts. It's everything that you've ever written, and what you're looking for are your top 10. So the top 10 most popular blog posts that are continuing to bring traffic over to your website. Your job now is to start to create commonalities or themes behind your popular content. You're looking to see what your audience likes, what they've engaged with, and then you're going to start thinking about what additional content you could create around that topic. Because after all, it's all about your audience, right? It's all about knowing what their needs or wants are. Because the only way you're going to be able to improve your results is to gain a better understanding into what your audience wants, and that's going to come from data. And so beyond your blog, beyond Google, well, we talked about Google Analytics, you're going to go over to Google Search Console as well. I want you to look at what you're ranking for so you can actually search based off of, are you on page 1? Do you hold a coveted, position 1 through 10, or that Google snippet title? And if you do, what content are you sitting on page 1, position 1 through 10 for? Is it the same as what you're looking at within your Google Analytics? It should be, if it's that popular. So you're starting to formulate what type of additional content you can create. And now you're going to go over to Facebook Audience Insights, into your Twitter Analytics. Look at all of that content that you've shared. And it could be your content, it could be somebody else's, but what is garnering the most engagement? What are you getting the most retweets? What are you getting the most likes, the most comments? You can also use Facebook Audience Insights to do a little spying on your competition and see what it is that they're talking about, that they're posting, that they're sharing, and what content is giving them the most engagement. Think about, is that something that would be relevant to your audience? Is that something that you could actually write and write something with your perspective, how it's affected your business? Write about what matters most to your audience. Another one of my favorite tools to do research is Buzzsumo. You can see around a specific topic. So let's say you wanted to write about sexy Instagram hashtags. This is something we wrote about years ago, not something I've written about recently, but if I wanted to, I could go in and I could plug in that term, sexy Instagram hashtags, and see who else has written about it. And then I could also see how popular that particular content was. So I can start to gauge the popularity of a topic, because for me, if there's no audience, if they're not actually interested, then why would I write about it, right? And then the last place you can go is Google Search. And Google Search, which utilizes predictive search, so you can start to type in those phrases like sexy Instagram hashtags, you can see what other searches people have actually looked for around that topic. So it'll start to give you some additional ideas into different directions that you could go. So many different ways for you to actually get into the head and the mind and the heart of your audience. But first, you got to do the research and understand what content of yours they've loved in the past, what content of yours is continuing to bring in that traffic to your website, what could you write, potential new content around, so topics that were popular that you could write new content about, and then looking to social, looking to Google search to get a better idea into what is getting the most social shares. Now that you're armed with all of that information, it's going to make this next step so much easier, and that is to write content that is for your reader. And to do that, you need to get a better understanding into who your audience is. A lot of times in marketing, we call this your persona. Maybe you've heard it called your avatar. Lots of different terminology for it. But the bottom line is it's just better understanding the makeup of your audience. So their demographics, their behavioral drivers, all those things that cause them to want to connect with you, to want to share your content, to want to engage with your brand. Now, if you're still not terribly clear around this topic, let me give you an example. So a few years ago, me and my team, we were working with a startup, and this startup was just dipping their toe into getting their digital marketing strategy all pulled together. They had started a blog, but they hadn't really figured out who their audience was, who their ideal reader was. And so they had brought us in to help them get to the bottom of that, but to also help them put together that entire digital marketing strategy. Well, of course, can't start putting together a strategy if we don't know who we're speaking with. So we came in and we helped them talk with current customers, potential customers, and their social media audience. And as we did this, we were compiling data. We were doing this through all of those interviews that really allowed us to shape and form and then put together a visual description of who their target audience was. And to do this, the great news is you don't need to have a big team to do this. There's very simple ways that you can go about getting this information from your audience. First of all, you could do in-person interviews. So if you're local, you could get face-to-face. You could do Skype interviews or maybe utilize Google Hangouts. You could do exit surveys right there on your website. You could ask questions on social media or reach out via email. So many different ways to really gain a better understanding into, as I said, their demographics. So what's their age? Are they married? Are they a family? So they have kids. So many different things you'd love to learn so you can gain better insight into who are you writing for. And then as you learn that, you will be able to speak in their language. So use the words that they actually use within their day-to-day. So you want to learn what do they do for their 9 to 5? Are they entrepreneurs or do they work in a corporate environment? So many different factors that play into who your ideal audience is. Understanding these things can help you get a picture of who your customer is and then what kind of content they actually like and they're looking for from you. And once you have that knowledge, you are all set to start to create custom-made content that your audience, they're going to love, they're going to engage with, and they're going to share, because that then becomes that viral situation where you extend your reach and you get in front of additional people. Now, your next step to building your brand with content marketing is to start injecting your personality, your thoughts, your views, and your methodology into your content. And one way to do this is through emotionally charged copy. I think we all probably know that people don't just want to spend all day reading about your product or service. They want to be entertained. They want to be surprised. They want to be enlightened. They want to be motivated. Probably all the same things you want to have happen when you're reading content. And here's the good news. We also know that sharing your blog content, sharing across social media, it's all a byproduct of highly useful content. So when you compare your useful content to your emotionally charged content, and that is content that makes that emotional connection, you now have a magical combination. Now, you might be wondering, so what exactly does this type of content look like? And let me give you a couple of examples. So first of all, I am a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and so this one has always been just a great example of marketing done right. And it's the Mean Joe Green Coca-Cola commercial back from the 70s, so I'm dating myself a little bit here, but definitely one of my favorites at the end where Mean Joe Green tosses his jersey to the kid and the whole kid's face, his body lights up. He's so excited that he's just received this gesture from Mean Joe Green. You just can't help but smile. And then who doesn't love the Budweiser commercials? So I'm talking a lot about sports. I'm in the midst of Major League Baseball. Now we're into NFL. And yes, I am a total geek for sports. So sorry for the sports analogies, but I think everybody knows the Budweiser commercials, see them in the Super Bowl, and one of my favorites is the Clydesdales and the puppy, that little baby puppy, and their bonding moment. One of the Super Bowl's best all-time commercials, in my opinion. And that emotion, the emotions in both of those commercials that they tap into is exactly what you want to create with your emotionally charged content. Now, while you might not be the sappy or the sensitive type, your audience definitely could be. Your job is to find what moves them, what motivates them, and then weave that into all of your content. And if you're not completely sure what your content emotional value is, or what that emotion is that your audience is most interested in, you can use a tool. And one of my favorite tools is the Advanced Marketing Institute Headline Analyzer. And sure, it's a tool I've mainly used for blog content, but it's terrific for any type of headline or social media posts that you just really want to get a good gauge on what that emotional value is of that particular piece of content. So just copy maybe your headline, drop it down into there, and it's going to give you your M as in Mary, V value, or your score. And so it's going to tell you what the intellectual, empathetic, or spiritual level of your content is. And so what you can start to do here is some A/B testing. So test one headline against another and start to share that content. Share it on social media. Share it in your email list. Share it on your blog. And then you can determine your sweet spot by paying attention to that data and seeing what your audience is connecting with. Your next step is to share captivating stories. Now, I don't care your industry, your business, your niche. Every single company has a story to tell, and your job is to figure yours out and be able to share that through all of your content. So whether you're sending an email, whether it's on your blog, maybe it's in your about or your bio, all of these areas are an opportunity for you to share your compelling story. The key here is to share it in a real and very relatable way. Think about it. Who do you connect with online? Who do you gravitate towards? Or who do you want to just befriend in real life? It's with those people and those companies that move you, that tell a story that really makes sense to you, that really speaks to your soul. And that's exactly what you want your story to do. You want to be able to bring your audience into your world, because by doing this, you're creating a bond, and that bond is going to translate into trust over time. So for me, I tell my entrepreneur story, the story that really was that turning point for me and helped me understand that this was my path, this was my journey, and this was what I wanted to do with my life. So I get asked time and time again, when did you know that you were an entrepreneur? How did you get started? And for me, it was way back at about the age 7 or 8. And I lived on, my house had a property, it was about an acre, so good sized property. And we lived in front of a rather large school. It was a K through 12. And there was traffic, as you can imagine, parents driving to and from the school, before and after. And the beauty in this was that it was different times than when I actually went to school. So I noticed that with all this heavy traffic, they were going pretty darn slow past my house. Well, lo and behold, I had about 20 different fruit trees on my lot. Everything from oranges to peaches to avocados. You just name it. We pretty much had it. And it was stuff that was blooming and growing at a variety of seasons. So I thought to myself, there is no way my family is going to eat all of this. What if I could sell it? So there I was setting up my very first fruit stand. And as I started selling lemons for $7, I think for $1 is what it was, I started to get a little excited that I had, a couple bucks here and there that I could go to the grocery store. I could go to the store and buy whatever I wanted to. And that's really when the whole idea took off for me and where that entrepreneurial fire was lit. So as you can imagine, anybody that is thinking about becoming an entrepreneur or just getting started, that makes a huge connection. That will really resonate with them and hopefully will inspire them to go on their own journey. So for you, it is telling that relatable story and then sharing that within your content marketing. So you're going to start to inject your story, which is your personality, it's your thoughts, it's your views, it's your methodology, everything that makes up who you are and what you do, and most importantly, who you help. Now, if you haven't created your story before and it feels a little daunting, don't worry. I have put together a formula that makes it super simple to create your story that you can share in all of those different places I just mentioned. So we'll drop that into the show notes, and you can click over to that link and find that exact formula that is going to make it so just drop dead simple for you that it will take you maybe 15 minutes to go ahead and put this all together. And last but not least, now that you've learned what your audience wants, what they need, you've gotten a really clear picture into who your persona is or your avatar, so you can actually write for your reader. You've learned how to tell your story, how to inject emotion into your content, definitely your personality. Now it's time to take all of that knowledge, all of that information, and use it to create content that people actually want to read and they want to share. So to create useful, share-worthy content, you're going to need 3 things. So let's go through all 3 of those and tie this whole thing up in a nice little bow. So first of all, it's original content. If you want to stand out, you need to be unique. And this doesn't mean every piece of content has to be 100% original, but it does have to come from your perspective. It does mean that you're going to have to put your thoughts into it, and it's going to have to align with your brand. So put your own voice into everything that you share. That includes your tone, so people can really start to to get a sense of who you are, but more than that, a sense of your style, how you do things, how you solve problems, and more importantly, how you solve their problems. Next is making it irresistible. And I've got a great example for you. If you are not familiar with the company Stella and Dot, they are a boutique style accessories company, and they do such a great job with all of their content marketing. It is just absolutely irresistible and totally irresistible to their social media fans who are female entrepreneurs. They are not only, and I really suggest you go take a look at their content after this, they are not only selling the dream of financial freedom, but a revolution against more of the same. And you need to do exactly that with all of your content marketing. And then third, it's empathetic. So when your content is empathetic to the needs of your audience, you acknowledge that you understand their current situation. In other words, your content is humanizing your brand. Now, just know that you can't fit all three of these things into every single piece of content marketing, and not every single one of your pieces of content is going to be gold. But if you take the time to research your audience, to understand what they're looking for, to really get a better sense of how you can deliver that content in the exact right location, in the exact right format. So is it video they're looking for? Is it link posts? Is it blog posts? What type of content are they looking for? And you do that in a consistent way over and over and over again. You're going to find that producing that brand building content marketing is going to become less and less of an overwhelming effort and more of a fun effort that you do that consistently gets your brand and your business results. So there you have it, a few different ways you can build your brand with content marketing. I'd love to hear your thoughts, how you're using content marketing to make those connections with your audience, whether it's over on your blog, your website, social media, wherever it is. Tweet me at Rebekah Radice and tell me what's really getting you the biggest bang for your content marketing buck these days. And I'd love to see examples too of exactly what you're sharing, how you're sharing it, and the type of results that you're getting. Because in future podcasts, I love to be able to share your wins and your successes. So don't forget, tweet me at Rebekah Radice. And as always, thank you again for listening to the Brand Authority Podcast. If you haven't already downloaded your copy, and it's a free copy to you of my daily social media checklist, you can find that in the show notes. It is just a terrific way for you to stay on track and focused and keep your energy and your attention on the right actions every single day. If you have a topic or question you'd like me to focus on or answer in an upcoming show, all you have to do is, again, you can tweet me at Rebekah Radice, or you can email my team at marketing@RebekahRadice.com. Until next time, have fun building a business and a brand that makes you leap out of bed with energy and enthusiasm every single day. I'll see you soon.